Welcome back, beer tubers. Today we're taking a look at the latest release. One of the latest releases. Stone is releasing a ton of beers this year. This is part of their Stochasticity Project, or whatever, Stochasticity Project, and this is hibiscusicity, something like that. Anyway, a bunch of funny names. Belgian ale brewed with orange peel and hibiscus. And on the back they give you some of the ingredients. Malt is pale malt, wheat malt, Magnum and Sterling hops. And I believe they're using the Ardennes yeast strain for the 7.4% ABV. So they did a quad with that same strain. I guess they're using it in this beer. So it pours out a nice kind of like burnt orange, kind of deep orange getting into red. That hibiscus really kind of took what would, I'm guessing, would be like a Belgian pale ale-ish kind of color and just really kind of darkened it up, made it kind of nice orange, reddish tinges to it. So it's a pretty bright white head on there. So it's a nice looking beer. Let's get the aroma. Yeah, a lot of fruitiness. I like nice spiciness coming from the yeast. Floral component. I'm not like a ton of sweet orange, but yeah, you get a little bit of a sweet citrus note to it. Yeah, it's got a nice like stone fruit fruitiness type of thing. A little bit of an earthiness in there as well. So it smells pretty good. Let's dig in. Cheers. Yeah, it's got some sweet malt kind of up front. Finish is pretty dry, and the hibiscus is really nice. Adds a slight tartness at the finish, which is nice. I was interested in this beer because I was listening to the Jamil Show podcast on the Brewing Network when they were talking about the Unapologetic IPA, which I reviewed. Check out my review of that. And Mitch Steele, the Brewmaster Stone, was talking about playing around with hibiscus, and I guess Brewmaster at Beechwood, Julian, was kind of commenting back about using hibiscus, and they're maybe going to use that in that project, but Mitch ended up, I guess, using it in this beer, and it works really well. It has a nice floral component, and kind of like, not like a rose petal, but sort of along those lines, floral character, and then this nice slight tartness on the finish, which is works really well with this Belgian base, which has this big sweet breadiness up front. You get some citrus notes coming in there. The yeast has a nice fruitiness. It's got a little bit of a clove spiciness to it as well in the finish, and that little bit of tartness just works really well. If I had to guess, I'm assuming they're using a sweet orange peel. I don't know. I don't get a ton of bitterness from the beer. You get a little bit of earthiness, but there's the sweetness in there that's kind of like a mix of a citrus, maybe coming from the wheat malt sort of character, mixed with the orange peel, I'm guessing is a sweeter component to the beer. All the sweetness up front kind of leads to a drier finish, thankfully. At 7.4%, you really don't get a whole lot of alcohol. Maybe a little bit of alcohol sweetness in there as well. To kind of in the front end of the beer. Thankfully, the back end of the beer is very dry. It's very well attenuated, and like I said, that the tartness on the finish kind of makes the beer for me. If not, it just would be just another kind of Belgian pale ale with, you know, orange peel. You see a lot of these type of beers these days. The hibiscus does kind of elevate this beer up a notch and adds a nice dimension to it that just keeps it from. I like the yeast strain that's going on. I'm kind of sick of your typical French saison yeast, Y yeast 3711, and all those beers. I mean, you can make some great beers with it, but I'm just kind of tired of everyone using it. So the Ardennes strain adds a different kind of fruitiness in there, gets that stone fruitish type of character, but still has some nice spiciness you kind of associate with a lot of Belgian yeast. So the beer kind of reminds me of a kicked up Belgian pale ale, but maybe, you know, the colors come in more from the hibiscus than, say, some of the specialty malts, unless they're not listing specialty malts in this, but yeah, it's a pretty nice beer. It's worth picking up, especially if you like hibiscus or never tried it in a beer. I think it works well. You can see how it just plays with a Belgian base and works with the yeast. It works with the malt that he used. and adds another dimension. Kind of makes me want to play around with the hibiscus a bit more. Not necessarily just in Belgian beers, other beers in general. So, cool beer to try, worth picking up. Check it out. It's one of the latest release in this series for Stone, and of course I'll probably be back here in another week with another Stone review. So, it's going to wrap this one up. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.